Good afternoon, good morning, good day. Hope all is well with you and welcome to the Download Podcast. I am Joel Lowe and always with me is my great friend. Mike, how are you doing? Say hello.
I- I'm good. How are you guys doing? How are you?
Yeah, we're good. We're good, man. Excited to be here.
Nice.
This is number 43, people. 43. We've been doing this a little minute. Yeah, we're getting our numbers up there. Hey, Mike, what are we going to talk about today? Any scamming going on?
Yeah. A couple weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
I actually got a phone call about 4:45 in the afternoon on a Thursday, and it was a guy who was telling me that he was calling from Bank of America,
Mm-hmm.
which is where I bank,
Okay.
and was saying that there was a potential fraudulent transaction that was happening. So this is something that's kind of happening a lot more lately. Um, this organized crime at this point, right? 10, 20 years ago, it used to be con men, confidence men coming to the door, whatever else.
Right.
Um, Now they're getting more and more sophisticated. There is training for these people on how to get better,
Right.
and it's an organization, right? And this guy wasn't trying to scam me out of $100 or $50 or something. It was $3,500, and I was like, well, okay,
So first of
that's
all, let's
pretty.
just let you know, everybody, that Mike has $3,500 in the bank. So we're
Mike
good to hear
Mike
that.
does
That's
not
big
have
time. See
Mike does
me,
not have thirty five
he,
hundred.
he couldn't have did that. It would have been $35. All right, he'd have
Yeah,
been,
it
he would,
it was
he,
all I could do. Be like, are you out your damn mind?
look, he said 3,500. I'd have laughed like, good
I don't know.
luck.
Yeah,
Hey,
good luck. But I didn't because I wanted to see how
you on the
far I
wheel of
could
it.
take it. Yeah,
Yes, I
I
get you.
I
Yeah, yeah.
I wanted to see how far I took it, and
Hmm.
the moment I was like, "This is a scam," I started recording the phone conversation because I was like, I'm gonna get something out of this at the
Right.
very least." So I
And for
started
all your
recording.
listening pleasures, guys, we're going to play the recording right now. Are you ready? Here we go. Nah,
Right,
just
right. No. So I'm not because so in Virginia, only one party needs to be aware that they're recording, but I don't know
right,
where this guy's calling from,
right,
and it
right.
ain't Bank of America. So there's that.
There's
So
that.
anyway, so we kind of went through and I just kept pulling, and I was like, all right, let's assume that I was somebody who hadn't had any training, hadn't any expectation of what this is or anything else. And I wanted to see what kind of tactics they would use and how they addressed it and hey, I don't have this. And he was like, oh well, he was trying again, Joel, you've talked about it on previous podcasts, how
Customer
friendly
service.
and
Oh,
helpful
the
they are.
friendliest
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
Well, let me help you set that up,
Hmm.
bro. So I don't have Zelle set up, and I don't need this Zelle. I'm just whatever. And he goes, oh well, let me walk you through setting that up for you. And I'm like, all right, that's mighty kind of you, sir.
Right.
Thank you so much.
I
So
appreciate that.
yeah, so I what I'd like to do is I'd like to talk about what I went through and what kind of how this works and everything
Hmm.
else and what he was trying to do and everything else. And Joel, from your financial standpoint and everything else, I'd like to hear your thoughts, right? And
Sure.
so where the bank can help and
Hmm.
where they're just like there's nothing we can do.
Right, right.
Um and so let me just start off by telling the story. So about 4:45 p.m. I get a phone call. I just finishing up my day, got off my last meeting.
It was a
I,
cold
I
winter night. You
It was a
know,
cold it was the worst of times. It was
it's
the
the worst
best
of
of
times, the
times.
best of times. Yes.
Yeah, so I get a phone call. The number isn't saved in my contacts list, but it didn't come up as a scammer number, right?
Mm,
So with my mobile carrier, usually if it's a weird number, something like potential scam, this, you're like,
yep.
okay, well, so I picked it up and I said, hi, this is Mike Dorothy. And he was like, hello, my name is Christopher Mullen. He's calling from Bank of America, and he's calling from their
Alleged.
fraud detection agency, and there's a potential fraudulent activity on my account with,
Mm,
and he said the word crooks trying to send $3,500 from my Zelle account, and I said, you have my attention. What can I do for you? He goes, well, I need you to verify some information, right? So this is where the scammer tries to set himself up as I'm a trusted resource because
right.
I already know the information. Let me verify some information with you. Can you give me your email address? I said, okay. So my email address that's on file
Public.
with my bank is not the same email address as my normal email address. So
Mm.
I encourage you all to have 3 email accounts, right? And we talked about this before on the show.
Yes, we have.
Have one that you use for regular ones, have one used for, discounts and sales and everything else. So the
Hmm.
first one is, what you're going to use for your friends and family
Hmm.
and personal accounts. The second one is going to be for throwaways, right? Like, discount cards and stuff like that. Use Apple,
Hmm.
hide my email if you want. And then the third one is for financial institutions that you do not use anywhere else, right? And
Nice.
so
Yep.
that third one is not what I gave him. I gave him the throwaway one. And so he says, "Okay, all right, thank you. That's the one I have on file." Flag.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
and your telephone number is the number I'm calling you on that we have on file, and get read out. And I was, "Yep, that's my telephone number. That's my cellular number." And he starts going through. And he's like, "All right, let's go into let's have you log in on your phone." And I was like, "Well, I'm actually in front of my computer." And he paused for a second. And he said, "Okay, well, we can log into your account from your computer." I said, "Fine." So I log into my Bank of America account, and he said, "Let's go into Zelle." And I go into Zelle, which you can get to right from the Bank of America page. And he said, "Goes to the transfer section of your account." I said, "I don't have Zelle set up on my account."
Mm.
And he said, he paused because I'm sure he was like, "Ooh, how am I going to scam this guy?" So he's
I'm,
like,
I'm gonna get him.
"Well, tell you what, let's go ahead and set that up." And I was like, "Well," and at this point, I'm toying with him, and I was like, "Okay, I know you're a scammer at this point. I'm going to see how
Right.
far we can go with this."
Right.
So I said, "Well, if my account isn't set up in Zelle, like how are they stealing money from me?" He goes, "These crooks." They will do whatever they want and whatever they need to get your money, and we don't. And so I forgot something that made me back up. So when he calls me, he tells me that the transaction will post at 5:25 p.m. So we must get to it before 5:25 p.m.
That's the urgency. Yep.
That's the
It's that,
urgency.
that
So
urgency.
for those of you who haven't seen the episodes we had in the past, this is they're telling you something bad is going to happen. You have a
Hmm.
limited time to act
Hmm.
or bad things will happen. So in this
Yep.
particular case, he's calling me with this that somebody's trying to steal my money, crooks. And I was like, I'm pretty sure Bank of America wouldn't call them crooks.
Wouldn't call them
Um,
crooks.
there is the sense of urgency. This
Hmm.
transaction will complete within 45 minutes or less.
All right.
And then if you don't do it, you're going to be out $3,500. So that's kind of where the scam is.
Yep.
And that should be your immediate red flag, right? So I said, well, the Zelle account isn't set up. How are they moving money from my Zelle account?
It's a good question.
Good question. And he's, "Oh, well, they just do this." And I'm like, okay.
Hmm.
So he's like, well, let me walk you through setting up the Zelle account. I said, sure, that's great. I actually did not set up my Zelle account. I was like, all right, well, let's just go through the motions and I'll pretend like I am.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, are you set up? And I said, yep, I've got it set up. It's attached to my bank account and my credit card. Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's like, okay. And I was like, which account did this come from? And he goes, I don't see that information. And I was like, all right, well, that's a smart answer.
Yeah. That's a good answer.
So like you don't know which account it came from, or because I can block the transaction. He goes, no, you have to block it from Zelle. And I was like, all right, that's pretty sneaky, pretty smart of him to kind of
Could
back
be
that up.
true. Okay, I can see
All right.
that.
So at this point, I've done nothing really. I haven't given him any sensitive information, not giving this
Hmm.
guy my account number and
Right.
everything else. And at this point, this is where he's going to start setting the hook, right? He's
Yes.
going to start saying, okay, let's go ahead and start that transaction process.
Hmm.
So at this point, I stopped and I said, well, listen, it's getting late. And he's like, yes, we need to work fast on this transaction. I said, great. I need to call you back. And he's like, well, I'm calling from a Bank of America number. And I said, okay. And he gave me the number, and the number is the 1-800-432-1000 number. Now, that is a Bank of America number. That is the number associated with Bank of America on the back of every Bank of America holder's debit card and credit card, right? That number is spoofed, which is why it didn't come back as a spam number. It's because that's
Right.
an actual number. He is not calling from Bank of America. He has spoofed the telephone number. Um, and we know this because Joel,
Right. I work
just
for the bank, and
you
yeah,
work for the bank. You
and
work for a bank.
I work for a bank, not that bank, and the numbers do get spoofed, right?
Right.
So this is where some people will say, well, it came up in my phone as the name of the bank because people save those numbers, and then we have to explain to them that, hey, it was spoofed, right? So it wasn't us. So don't let, if it comes up in my caller ID, that's how I know that it's the number is saved, right?
Right.
Be your only telltale sign to then start doing things that go beyond your comfort zone, right?
Right.
So that's why that's only one. And then you have to look at other things. The urgency was one. Them saying, hey, is this the number that you use? This is the one we have on file. Well, what's the likelihood that people have a land phone, right?
Right.
I mean, my mother still has a land phone, right? I mean, but other than that, most people use their cell phone, right? So what's the likelihood that it's probably a high 90, 95% that your cell phone is your contact information on your accounts. So
Right.
them saying, "Hey, we have your cell phone number, the number that I'm calling you on, as your
Shocker.
is your number, contact number," shouldn't give you pause to be like, "Okay, it's really them," because they
Right.
did call you, so they have your number, right? So when they're like, "It's this number here," you're not like, "Well, they gave me my number, but they
Right.
called you." Right? I
Right.
mean, they have your
That's the
number.
number right. That's the number you're calling on right now.
Right.
So, and let's take a second real quick. When we say spoofed,
Yes.
um, the caller ID that we are so used to relying on nowadays, actually has a security flaw.
Mhm.
And that security flaw is basically, you can tell the carrier what number you want the carrier to identify that you're calling from.
Mhm.
Right. So, and I've done social engineering things in the past, for clients legitimately. And, I have access to tools and things like that that can basically change the outgoing number that I'm telling the carrier, hey, this is where I'm calling from. The carrier is like, okay,
Yeah.
hey, recipient of call, here's the phone number that this person says he's calling from. I
Mhm.
can call you from the White House. I can call you from, any number I want, right? And if the carrier has a match to that in their number, their SID system, it'll say, "Oh, it's Joel Lowe." I'm like, no, it's not, but that's because I'm using Joel Lowe's telephone number.
Right.
Um,
Right.
okay, and there are products that are legitimate, and there are legitimate reasons for products like this too, right? I don't want to say that you shouldn't be using these products. So I'll give you an example. If you're a medical doctor or you're a psychologist or a dentist or somebody that takes after hour phone calls and you have a messaging service. So I'm a patient. I'm having an issue. It's not a medical emergency. I need to get a hold of my doctor, right? I'll call the number. That number will relay to a messaging service, and that
Mhm.
messaging service will take down the information and then call the number on file they have for the doctor, right? Now, as the doctor, I don't want to call you from my personal cell phone.
Right.
So what I'll do is I will spoof the main telephone number from the doctor's office for two reasons. One, I don't want a patient to have my direct personal cell phone number. And two, I want you to know it's the doctor's office calling so that you're more likely to pick up, oh, that's right, I just called Dr. So and so.
Mhm.
Let me answer the phone because I know I'm
Right.
expecting a call from him. So there are
Right.
legitimate uses for this service of this product. Unfortunately, like every other great technology piece, criminals start using it for nefarious purposes. So, all right.
Yep.
So, Joel, at this point, from a financial expertise, have I done anything to set up anything or anything from a scam perspective? Right. So I haven't
No,
given him anything.
you haven't given him anything yet, right?
Okay.
So you're good at this point, we'll
Okay.
say.
So the second part of it is now he's trying to set the hook, right? Meaning, okay, here's where I'm going to start getting transactional
Mhm.
information and money from him. So he's like, great, let's go ahead and set up a transaction. I said, okay, why are we setting up a transaction? He
Mhm.
goes, well, let me go ahead and get Zelle support on the call. I'm going to put you on hold. And I'm going to get Zelle support on the call, and we'll set up a refund for the transaction. Okay, what's the refund for? Why
Right. Where
not
did the
just
money leave from? I
why
don't
not
see it
just
out of my
cancel?
account. I don't
Right,
just
why not
cancel it.
just cancel
Right.
the transaction? He's like, we can't cancel transactions. We can only refund. Right. So at this point, I'm like, okay, here's the fabled Nigerian prince scam,
Mhm.
right? Where I'm going to tell you I'm returning your money, but in fact I'm actually taking money from you,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
So he's like, okay, I have a Leroy Wilson on the phone from Zell. Yeah, I know. I was like, Jesus,
Le-
man.
Leroy Wilson.
I said, okay. And,
Leroy Wilson.
and, and Leroy hear me? And he said, no, he can't hear you. He's on my other phone. And I was like, okay. Meanwhile, this is Leroy Wilson I'm talking to the whole time. And I said, okay, what does Leroy want? And he said, Leroy is going to send you a transaction refunding you the money. I said, all right, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
What's it going to entail? And he says, well, you're going to take the transaction and it'll refund the money from you. I was like, okay. So I get the request and I'll share it now. Through the magic of television, I'll go back in time and post the
Okay.
picture. I just need to hide my email address and everything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it says in there, Leroy Wilson requested $3,500, and under the notes it says manual reversal to Michael DeRezzo. Spells my last name wrong. Whatever. All right, and it said enroll to send because I haven't enrolled anything yet. And enroll using this email address, and he's got the email address I gave him. And it's a legitimate Zelle email. It's not from a scammer. So this is him sending me a manual reversal request when in fact I'm actually giving him $3,500. He's not giving me $3,500. He has requested $3,500 from me to manually reversal. Okay. So yes. Mr. Lowe.
Well, at this point we have problems, right?
Right.
So once you send, right? If you send if they send a request and you honor that request by sending your money out, it is done. It's not even a criminal action at this point, right? So from the bank standpoint, you gave them that money. Congratulations, right? No matter how much you say, hey, they tricked me, they lied to me, I didn't know what. The way it looks from the system, when we look at it, it shows that, hey, he sent a request, you honored that request, and you sent this money over, right? And that is literally black and white. And even from a police standpoint, let's say that you saw the guy, you ran into him, you called the police, like, yo, he took my money, right? When they look at it from a forensic standpoint, or even from the notes from Zelle, it's going to say, or from the bank, it's going to say, no, he requested some money, and she sent it, or they sent it. There is no criminal. They didn't arm rob you. They didn't stick you up. They may have tricked you, but you still had to do something for them to be able. And that's why these kind of con artists and things of this nature are so dangerous, right? Because there's no legal holding to it because you're giving it to them, right? In the sense of how we look at it and how the bank looks at it, how the police look at it, you gave them your money, right? You didn't get tricked because the way it says it's just black and white.
Right.
Did he ask for money? Yes. And did you give it to him? Yes. Then it's almost like a panhandler on the street, right? You can't give them $1 and then say, yo, he took my $1 from me. No, you gave it to him.
Gave him. Yeah. So let me ask you this. So it says in quotes, for the it's almost like the memo box in the bottom of a check. Mm-hmm. It says manual reversal to Michael DeRezzo.
Means absolutely nothing.
Okay, because he could argue, well, Michael DeRezzo was reversing the money back to me.
Right. Means absolutely nothing. It's just like on a check, right? The date and the memo mean absolutely nothing.
Okay.
I didn't realize that. And my thing is you can put I used to see where people would write a check and they'd have like a future date. Yeah. And I'm going to give a future date to it, a post date, right? But if they go to the bank to cash it, they're going to cash it. That date means nothing to them, right?
Interesting.
And the bank doesn't look at the memo. They don't care about the memo. The memo's for you, right? It's not for them. So you can literally put in there, this is for a later date or for next week, right? That's why it's post dated in the memo. And they're going to look and see, is the account good? And is the money there? Is it signed? Right. They're cashing that puppy. Right?
I used to put funny when I would send my brother a check or something for his birthday. This is kids in the old days. We used to send checks and actual cash and cards and stuff like that.
We did.
So I'd send my brother. I'd send my brother checks, and I'd always write funny things in the memo, for favors, for adult favors. And he's like, "Why do you keep putting that in there?" I'm like, "Because it's funny. Because nobody reads it, and if somebody reads it, there you go. I'm gonna make somebody's day. Could have ruined yours." but I'm going to make somebody's day.
Definitely gonna
Good luck.
ruin theirs.
Good luck going into the bank and cashing that. Uh,
That's terrible, but great at the same time. I love it.
that's the
I
joys
love
of
it.
being a younger brother. You got
Oh
to
my
you
god,
got to do stuff like that.
I love it.
Um,
It makes me want to write
okay.
checks again.
So
Uh,
yeah, right. At this point, it's you miss it, right? So
right.
now you got to fill out those things in the Zelle memo.
In the
Um,
Zelle memo. So
uh,
at this point, if you would have clicked on that,
right.
did that, you would have. And the thing is, you got to ask yourself, like when stuff starts not making sense, then stop. Right. So how can you send some money from Zelle and you don't have a Zelle account attached to your bank account? That makes no
Number
sense,
one,
right?
right,
That's number one, right? And then the fact of why would you then help me set up a Zelle account when I'm trying to stop somebody from fraudulently using my Zelle account?
right,
That that makes no sense. Like
right,
the I just those things there should have had you at pause where you're like,
right.
that doesn't make sense.
Doesn't
Like I
feel right,
and then the whole at 5:25. Why 5:25? Right?
right,
Most banks close either at 5 or 5:30.
right.
But why 5:25 is just a very special number. Like, why'd you pick
Yeah,
that number?
yeah.
Like
What
that's
was
weird.
what was great is I just kept taking, like I was like, now is there an apostrophe in there? He goes,
Yeah.
what apostrophe? And I'm like, in my name, is that because I don't think it matters. Okay, it's gonna matter, my friend.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
fun. I
Yeah.
mean, honestly, at the end of the day, it was fun, and we got to a point, and he was like, "Look, you can trust me," says every scam artist
So is everybody
ever,
who's
right?
trying to get
As
money from you.
everybody who's trying to get one over on you,
Hey,
man. You can trust me. It's
I'm your
cool.
friend. I
I'm your
got you.
friend.
Hey, we're friends.
Yo, Christopher Mullen, I've just met you.
Just they don't know who you are, Leroy.
Right. Is this Leroy or Christopher? Like I kept
Uh,
screwing up his name, and I was like,
uh,
"I'm sorry, man. What was your name?" It was
Leroy.
Christopher Mullen, and I was like, "Really? Oh, that's an interesting,
That is.
and he had a foreign accent,
Yeah,
and I was like,
yeah,
oh, where's that name from? Like I'm just learning all about this guy,
yeah.
and like literally, it's like 5:20, and he's like, we only have 5 minutes to do this. And the longer I'm like, the longer I keep you on the phone, the less time you have to scam
Getting
somebody
somebody
else.
else. Right,
So
right,
I'm gonna have fun with this guy. I've got stuff to
right.
do, and I'm like, the dogs are want to eat dinner and everything else, and I'm like, all right, I'll let this guy off the hook. And I
Right.
said, I got to be honest with you. Um, who am I talking to? And they said Christopher Mullen. I was like, you sure it's not Leroy Wilson? And he goes, there's just pause. And I was like, is this Leroy or Christopher? He goes, Leroy's on the other line. And I'm like, okay, can you just join the three of us together?
Right.
And
They
he
can do
says,
that.
no.
Conference
And I
call.
said, I got a real problem with this. If I click on this and I send this money back, how do I know it's going to come back? I don't see anything in my account. And
Mm-mm.
it did look, I'm from the fraud department. Look at your caller ID. And I was like, okay, like at this point, I got to let this, I'm like, obviously you've got my information.
Obviously.
Um, you can look me up online. You know what I do for a living, right?
I'm Googleable. I'm
I
Googleable.
yeah, yeah. So one of the funniest things I've ever heard, Google me MFR. Um, I'll never say that to anybody. But it was funny when somebody else said it
Yeah.
because I don't
Cool.
I hopefully I
I,
don't.
I, I just want to get to the point where I can say that. Right. I'm probably going to say it, people.
What
I'm
what's
not
fu-
Mike. I want to say it. Google
What's
me and
funny is you think I have an original name, but I don't because there's like a second cousin of mine who has the same name, and like no, Google me MFR. Oh no, I'm not that one. I'm the
No, no, I'm the other one.
not the
When
no.
you
I'm
Google me,
the
I'm
other
the
guy.
second one. I'm the second one,
I'm
not the
at
first one. I'm
least
the
the second
second
one, not the first one. He's
not the
much more
first one.
famous than I am. Actually, I want to be the number one. Maybe
I want to
that'll
be
happen one day. Maybe
right. I'm gonna
if I
pump
get
up.
Googled enough and somebody says not that one, it's the other Mike. Maybe I'll become the first one.
I
I don't know.
like it. We
I
got
don't know. He's a
goals,
few
man.
years older than me, so maybe that's it.
We got goals, people.
So
Hey, so quick takeaways, right?
yeah,
So let's go through takeaways. And
let's
these
do this.
if you heard a smidget of any of our podcasts, which we appreciate, thank you.
Thank you.
We always talk about these things here. Like one, don't be anxious for anything, right? If they're going to try to cause you to a knee-jerk reaction. Hey, we only have 15 minutes. You're going to lose this amount of money. You're like, oh, I need to do something. Don't calm down.
Right.
Pause. Relax.
It's the
Right.
final countdown.
Relax. Yeah.
Right.
And the
No, just
fact that
relax.
they've spoofed the number, which we went over what spoofing was, right?
That was good.
That
I
is
was
good.
impressed.
That's excellent. But you
Yeah.
can still call them back, right? Because
Right.
when you call that number back, it's not going to go to to them. It's going to go to the actual number. And I've done this many times where I've said, "Hey, got a phone call. They said, this is going on in my account. I want to find out." And they're like, "No, that's not us. I don't know who called you." And I'm like,
Right.
"Huh."
This is Leroy.
This is Leroy. Leroy, you getting me? So again, you can hang up. You don't have to stay on, right?
Right.
And you can call back, especially if it popped up in your number. Hang up, call back. And there's no such thing as trying to be polite, right? Hey, if somebody's saying something's wrong with my account, I'm gonna say, "Hey, I'll call you right back," and I'm gonna hang up. I don't wait for them to be like, "Hold on, wait, no, I don't even do that. I just hang up and I call back and say, "Hey, I just got a phone call. Somebody called me and said there's something going on with my account. I want to make sure that it's true, so I'm calling you back," right? And they will ask a couple of identifying questions, and then they should be able to see, "Oh yeah, that was us. We do have something going on in your account." Cool. Nope, that wasn't us. That's even better, right? Now I know, right? But so those are two things there. And then last but never least, Mike, what do you have for us? Take us home.
Well, so at the end of the day, verify, right? So, this is your money. To Joel's point, once you've let that money out, even if you've been conned out of it, once you've given that, you're done. You don't really have any resources here that you can call to and move it out. And you may not be able to cancel the transaction. You may not be able to do this. In the past, you used to be able to cancel checks. You'd pay a little fee and cancel. This is instant. This is instant money. So, make sure that you know who you're dealing with, right? Again, when I asked the guy for his extension, "Let me call you back. I got another call coming." And he goes, "No, I can't let you. If you get off the phone, we're done. You'll have to start this over, and we only have a few minutes." And I was like, "No, I'm gonna need your extension, Christopher. Let's go ahead and let me call you back." And he really just put me on hold. Like I was tempted to put him on hold and go take the dogs out, go cook dinner, and see how long.
Yeah, you should have. An hour later, you still there? You still there?
Yeah. Hey, Christopher, you there? Okay, yeah. I'll be right back. Click.
Right,
put him on
quick.
hold for the rest of the night. I have unlimited minutes. Whatever.
1 o'clock. Leroy, you there?
Right. Leroy, it's late. Are you still there? I'm sorry, buddy. Yeah. But so just verify the information, right? Get a follow-up extension form. Get this. Be very careful. You're probably it's also tax season. So you're probably getting text messages from the IRS. You're getting this. The IRS will never text you. Okay. Amazon will never text you. Right. And tell you that your account is on hold or whatever. They're not going to do this to you. I promise you.
PayPal.
PayPal is not going to text you. They're going to send you an email, and they're going to send you a certified letter or a letter in the mail and let you know that something bad has happened. Right. They're never going to threaten you that if you don't do this, we're going to shut off your account. And you're like, Amazon doesn't want to shut off your account. They want you spending as much money as long as
You're not
as
spending
frequently
money
as
if your
possible.
account is off. Trust me.
Right. Jeff Bezos can't buy. Jeff can't buy that football team unless he has your money. So he's gonna leave those lines open.
I need you to have all your money. I need all your money.
All your money. All your money belongs to us. So, and finally, just another point on that is, if it seems really rushed, if it feels, and I'll be honest with you, he was very believable. Regardless of the foreign accent, regardless of me being knowledgeable, he was very believable. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to stay on the phone, is to see what his tips and tactics were. Right. Hey, if I said this, hey, let me get your extension. Oh, we can't. And he reverted back to well, if you don't do this by a 525, this transaction will commit. You'll be out 3,500. And much to Joel's disappointment, I ain't got $3,500 for you to take from me, homeboy. So, we're going to have to find, you're going to find another stone.
Allegedly, people, he doesn't have it. Allegedly.
No.
Hey, but look, but you know what's so crazy about that? Let's say that from a bank standpoint, and this we'll leave at this. If 35 did come out of your account and this is the first you've heard about it, you will get reimbursed because you've
Yeah.
done nothing, right?
Right.
Somebody has went into your account, somehow got past controls that were set up in place, and was able to remove money out of your account. The bank
Right.
will honor that and give you your money back, right?
Right.
They'll look through there and say, okay, I see that this here. I see, okay, we're going to go ahead and transfer it back. And they usually transfer it back that same day before
Right.
we even get our money back, right? They're going to honor you for that one because you did nothing. Hey,
Right.
I just looked at my account and I'm missing this amount of money somehow from here. They're going to check that out. And if
Right.
you haven't done anything, you'll get your money back. But if you send money from a request, they're going to say, hey,
Mhm.
look, we see here that at this time here, somebody sent you a request and you then sent money out of your account using Zelle. Yeah, but they tricked me. I'm
Yeah.
sorry to hear that, but that money is gone right now.
Yeah.
You can ask them to send it back to you. Good luck.
Right.
And that's literally what it's going to be. Hey,
Yeah.
only thing we can do for you now is you need to ask them to send that back. And out the kindness of their heart, they may send it back. They're not.
They're not.
They're not.
No.
They're
They're
not.
on to the next scam.
They
Yeah.
are. They are.
So,
So people, as always, I love to say, knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe.
still gonna get sued for
Oh,
this.
I can't wait. Mattel, come on, baby. Hey, Mike, anything, your last parting words?
Yeah, so if you like the content, hit the like
Mhm.
button. Really, it actually means a lot. It means that we're doing our job. It tells
Mhm.
YouTube that this is good content and everything
Yeah,
else,
yeah.
and we move up in the ranks and everything. If, if you like the stories and things that we talk about and everything else, and hit the subscribe button. We do this. We try to do this at least once a week, and let us know in the comments if you're confused about something, I said something, or Joel talked about something, you had a question. Let us know. We do respond to the comments either in the social media that we posted in
Mhm.
or in YouTube here. Just post it up and we'll get it out there. And as always, we really care about people, so this is why
Mhm.
we do this. We don't do this for the money.
Yep,
Joel and I both have full-time jobs, so
we
this is why we
do.
only do it once a week.
That's why it's
Um,
once a week, people.
all right. Well, that's
All
all I
right.
got, my friend. You want to
That's
close us
it.
out?
Y'all take care. We'll see y'all on to the next one. All right.
All right.
Be
Take care,
safe.
everyone. Bye bye.